Welcome back to Tools and Track. If you want to hear this little car make this little noise, stay tuned. The car is in the air, so it's now time to try and put the intercooler in. And this is where the biggest risk of project creep for me kicks in this car, because to this day, despite the length of time I've owned it, I've never once had the bumper off, or for that matter the wings, which might also come off just for the similar reason. Rust checking. The intercooler takes off of the two bolt holes that hold the grill on, the wee cheap shite mesh thing that came with the car, which is fine. M8 threaded bosses in the intercooler, except that these have captive nuts, which you can't thread and then thread and expect it all to be tight. So I'm going to have to drill the captive nuts out and get a bolt, probably my own bolt, because the length of the bolts that come with this are going to be incorrect. So yes, more stuff that doesn't really work in the real world application. Okay, bolted up. And of course, it doesn't even line up. Like a glove, assuming that glove was a six-fingered mitten and you were trying to squeeze it onto an elephant. So this is a fun part of the plug and play process for this plug and play kit. Obviously I'm not going to name names of who's manufactured this manifold. Take the manifold and install the studs to accept the turbocharger. Nope. Brick solid. And you would go, oh well, that's just like a one-off bad manufacturing casting. No, every single time these manifolds rock up, you've had, Brian, the man who's holding the camera, his 1.6, same story.
Same problem.
The problem is, I don't have the appropriate tap, so I'm having to wrangle these in just gradually bit by bit. But it's plug and play, so you don't need the tap because it's plug and play. I
don't understand what the issue is with tapping threads. Like, why
can't you just tap a thread correctly?
Why is that the difficult bit? I mean, this is all machine fate. Like, why have they not got a tap that can tap a hole properly?
Don't know. And by the way, if you're wondering why I'm locking out the two nuts that should be locked, like, I need so much torque for this, it's just spinning. Yeah. No matter how tight I make these, it is so rock solid. The hits just keep coming with this. So first up, obviously, this guy, we now know why all the silicone hoses are purely silicone hoses, because it'll need to just deform to get through there and touch the turbo. But that's small fry, right? So we cannot get the downpipe on at all because the studs are too long to actually clear this to get over it because of the bend hitting the chassis.
Yeah, it hits the chassis before you actually, you almost need to be like here to be able to get it up and on. Yeah. And the way it is now is if you get it so it clears the chassis, it just
fails. Also, you've got the added fun of C-stud here, which is actually going to foul, and it is running, trust me. So basically we're going to have to get an angle grinder and chop all this shit down.
Yeah, I don't...
Plug and play.
Why do they not give you the right length studs?
Plug and play, plug and play. This is just plug and play, guys.
If this wasn't just a kit that you assume is right, you would do stuff like that because you'd be, oh, that bolt's too low, I'll chop it down. You know, you would work it out as you went along.
Yeah,
but
you pay several £1,000s to not have this drama.
Yeah. You kind of assume that, well, if this is what's supplied, that it'll work.
The most comprehensively developed kit on the market, apparently.
It's just so much stuff that doesn't fit.
No. So, anyway, I'm going to go and literally chop stuff next to my engine. This will be fun. Right, we're on day 3, which is unsurprising given the challenges this has presented. So, quick roundup. Obviously, I've kind of bitched and moaned about this kit not being very plug and play, which is not a big problem for me, right? The context with this, I can pretty much resolve all of these issues myself. The issue is, it's been supplied at a hefty price as being a complete kit, and it's not. So for example, some of the things I've had to go out today and buy, we've got extra hose, fuelie coolant pipe hose, because the kit comes with just an insultingly short amount to do the water feed to the turbo. So I have run the hard line, the difficult line to get in the really awkward positions, and it left me with like a foot, which is just, there's no way, there was absolutely no way of just even stretching these in a really dumb route to make that work. This doesn't come with enough, and it's just, that's just penny pinching, right? There's no reason not to just give you enough bloody hose. It's about a 5 or a metre, right? So I've had to go out during the festive period and luckily find somewhere open to give me the rest of the hose to do that. Now that's fine. The other thing I've had to go and buy, and yeah, it maybe was specified in the kit, but they didn't supply an air filter, which for £2,500 is, again, tight, because these are 30 quid. And I went and bought a pretty generic mushroom filter. I'm going to revise this because that's not going to be great for cold air induction, but it'll do, and it'll stop debris going in the turbo. I'm going to have to move my catch can setup, but I think I'd always acknowledged this is just good for an NA. It's too close, really, to this. There's other issues with my catch can setup in that one of the breather hoses is way too close to the turbo. Excuse me. I'm clearly coming down with something of an illness now because of the amount of work I've had to put into it. Not taking a break over the festive period. Right, so all of this is going to now route round the front to this, which will now sit further away. I'm also going to have to look at the power steering system because the hose here for feeding from the turbo into the intercooler is just obnoxious. Now, I can see why they've done it all silicone. It's so you can deform it and squeeze it into place. But it's also just stretching at an angle between that power steering hose in a way that's going to inevitably lead to the boost line popping off. It's under too much tension, too many stresses pulling against it that will just allow it to pop off the turbo. And this MX5, for context, is completely OEM in that regard. There's nothing that's like an aftermarket pipe that's too tight or something like that. That came from the factory. So that's not a good solution at all. So for the most complete and well thought out kit in the market, I disagree. Ultimately, in the long term, I'm going to make my own intercooler pipes because all silicone all the way is just a bit daft. Similarly, we'll need to shorten this radiator hose to give it clearance for that side because that doesn't fit very well either. But again, I'm just bitching really at this point because I'm really frustrated with how a lot of corners have been cutting this. So, better get changed. I've also had to go and buy, and you know it's come from a good place, Bill's Tool Store, by the way, in Glasgow, open over the festive period, and an absolute emporium for all sorts of weird stuff, including a 15mm drill bit, a 14mm hole saw, in case I can't get the 15mm drill bit in. So I can always go the 14mm and widen it out a wee bit if I need to, or use the 15 if I can get it in. And the 3/8 BSP tap to go with my original 3/8 BSP fitting. Now, I don't have a lot of confidence in what they say about being able to do this in place. I'm going to give it a go, but it's tight. Now, exactly how they think you can drill with this and a drill in place with a subframe and everything else to the sump that way is beyond me. I have the Hail Mary of tools, which is an air drill, which has got a very, very tight head in it. We use this in the low cost. And I still think I might be really quite tight in space to get that 15mm in with that and drill into there. And tapping direct and in a straight line with that much angle's tricky. Obviously, the supplier of the kit, that's not their problem, and they say, well, just take the sump off. To take the sump off, you either take the engine out or you drop the entire subframe off, which is severe, but there is obviously no other way to do it. And again, I guess it's not their problem, but it really is my big problem. I think it's Dan ST or somebody else does one of these oil return kits that intercepts the dipstick, and you're asking why didn't I just do that? Yes, people have said it works well. I don't think you're going to get the oil flow to get the turbo evacuated down into there. And if anyone knows turbos, not evacuating the oil out of that turbo leads to many smoke issues and all sorts of early turbo death. It needs to get out and into the sump quicker than it goes in. So, we're now at the vinegar strokes, we're getting close to the end. I'm going to try and fix all these issues. The only other thing that's still on the to-do list after yesterday's Fit the Turbo chat, I need to reconnect the exhaust onto our old pipe. My lambda sensor is 6 miles away from the turbo, and the plug, which I've got luckily plenty of length on, is bulky, and I'm going to have to make sure I route that the hell away from the downpipe somehow. I'm probably going to have to chase the gearbox down and mount it to that. Just a thing. I don't know why they didn't think, we'll just put a port up here, which would have been really useful, but hey-ho. Other than that, it's the oil feed, which takes off from the oil pressure switch. Now that is on the other side of the block, underneath the inlet manifold and out the way. We did have the inlet manifold off. I'm inclined not to repeat that process. However, if Daniel doesn't turn up with his small hands and small arms, I am quite a bulky chap, I'm probably going to struggle with that. And I might have to take the inlet manifold off again just to get the oil feed on. And that sounds extreme. The oil feed is a T-piece. It retains the original oil pressure switch, and then there's a banjo that comes off the side. All of that needs to be on tight and orientated correctly, and when you've got no access, it's nigh on impossible to the point of being dangerous, because you're going to end up with an oil leak. I want to kind of do it right, so we might have to just take the manifold off again to do it right. That is pretty much the crux of today. Finish the oil system, connect the exhaust and the lambda, move this, and then we'll go to town making my own brackets. This I'm not moaning about, this is me, this is aftermarket, it's my fault. I'll think about how we're going to resolve the power steering issue, because that pipe's going to have to move for this to be a long-term solution. And then we'll fire it up and deal with all the problems that probably brings in, like leaks and stuff and issues, but, well, I can't moan about what I've not found yet. So, let's get changed and get into it. Okay, I'm surprised, even by my own standards, that we've got a hole drilled and tapped in the side of this sump. Now, it did not come without some preparation work. So first up, you'll see there is a grease pot here. That has been thoroughly used. Basically, anytime I'm drilling near it or tapping near it, I'm dousing whatever the tool is in grease, so that, as you can see, the flutes are catching all the swarf that I'm drilling out. That is stopping it going in, well, as much as humanly possible. So if it's catching in here, it's not dropping into the sump. I've done the same with the tap. Now, I have run 2 taps into this. A starter tap, one of the kind of chamfered ones, which went in a bit, and then I pulled it back out just to check it and realised that the windage tray is within an inch of where I've just drilled the hole. And I don't think I can drill the hole anywhere else without getting near a windage tray, and I've drilled it where they told me to drill it. So I've had to chase it in with a finishing tap, which is basically, the minute it goes in, it's cutting the final thread, which seems to have worked. I'm going to go and throw in the actual fitting now, and I'm going to wrap it in PTFE, and maybe even think if a Doughty washer will work, try that too, just so that it'll seal as best as it can. Once that's on, oil return line's on, we're done under here. Choo 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 choo, my car's turbocharged. Except it's not. Well, mechanically, physically, it has a big turbo strap to it, but I would love to take you out and let you hear all the fantastic choo-choo noises, but it's not mapped. So the problem there is I can't really drive it anywhere. We've got a base map in it and I can move it, but unfortunately I can't take it out and put it on boost because it's going to grenade. There's no map that is properly dialed in for this level of performance upgrade. So in the next episode, we're going to have to get it onto a rolling road and just tweak these parameters and make sure that it is actually going to drive and make power. But that's also something else we'll establish in the next episode, how much power this actually makes. So be sure to do the like, bell and subscribe thing if you've not already done so. Also a share here and there wouldn't be bad. If you want to support it a bit more than that, patreon.com/toolsandtrack would be a great way to do so. And until next weekend, guys, drive safe and fast.